Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all, let's talk about Divorced Sistas, okay? In the Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107 gives me fair use to this commentary that I'm about to give with my thoughts and opinions. So, let's get into it. So, episode 1 starts off with Geneva and Tiffany going to pick up Geneva's daughter from school. So Tiffany, she's on the phone scheduling a showing because she's an agent. Geneva looks over and calls her booked and busy. And we find out that Tiffany has gone through a divorce and she has a kid in college. So she feels like she has no other choice but to stay busy. And that makes Geneva want to know, if she has a lot on her plate, how is she going to be able to watch Anika, who is Geneva's daughter? Tiffany doesn't want her to worry about it because she's like, I can work around Anika's schedule, that's fine. And she doesn't want Geneva and William, who is Geneva's husband, to cancel their trip because she feels like they need it. Geneva is a little hesitant about leaving Anika because she never left her before and she had a hard time getting pregnant. They talked about how their friend Rashida, who is a pastor, she's a first lady, she was praying up a storm in the hospital, and they get to laughing about their friend group. And Geneva says, "Gotta love our little friend group," and Tiffany says, "Even Naomi." Now, by her saying that, it seems like Naomi may be a lot to deal with, but since all of them have been friends for like 20 years, they kind of know how to handle each other, right? So they move the conversation along, and we find out that Tiffany has just been dealing with life after her divorce. Basically, just staying busy. And Geneva feels like that's why she offered to watch Anika, even though it's been 3 years since Tiffany's divorce. Geneva feels like Tiffany should get back out there and start dating. And she tells her, well, at least your divorce, it wasn't as bad as Naomi's. And Tiffany was like, well, at least she got half. All I got was a broken heart. And she lets her know that everybody can't be as happy as her and William or Rashida and Jeff. And when she mentioned Rashida and Jeff, Geneva gave her a look like, I'm not sure about that. And then we find out that Bridget, one of their other friends, told her that something may be going on with Rashida and Pastor Jeff. But Geneva said she wasn't getting into that, but they could check on them at the banquet later on tonight. So they pull up in the carpool line to get Anika, and the teacher, Mrs. Rose, says that it's a treat to see Geneva because for a majority of the time it's either William or the nanny. Geneva says that sometimes her schedule frees up to allow her a chance to pick up her daughter. The teacher, she is like, great, because we like to see both parents engaged. Now, while the teacher is saying that, Tiffany is over there smirking because she knows this is not something that Geneva does on a regular basis, right? So Geneva and Tiffany arrive back at Geneva's house, and Naomi is standing outside. Geneva tells the nanny to take Anika inside and prep dinner. So Naomi looks over and says that she doesn't think it's a good idea to have such a young woman around her husband. So I guess something like that happened with Naomi and her husband Franklin. Naomi wants to know if Geneva looked at the lawsuit, which she had, and Franklin wants Naomi to stop harassing him. She said that she's not harassing him. Tiffany says, well, it looks like that to us, which makes Naomi feel like they're on his side. Geneva's like, Naomi, you already have the money, just let it go. But Naomi says she ain't letting nothing go, and she's going to find her another lawyer. Then she leaves. So Geneva and Tiffany are standing there wondering if Naomi is going to come to the banquet. They hope she's not, but they'll see later on. Now over at the church with First Lady and Pastor Jeff, they're going over the details about the banquet. Pastor Jeff wants Bridget to make sure that there are seats available for their guests, with one of those guests possibly being Franklin, Naomi's ex-husband. Jeff wants him there because he is one of their biggest donors. Rashida doesn't think it's a good idea because Naomi is supposed to be there. Jeff was basically like, oh well, she needs to grow up anyway. Plus, Franklin will be coming with donations. The way Jeff sees it, Franklin is coming with that money, while Naomi is coming with that drama. Rashida wants Jeff to let her know if Franklin decides to attend. He's like, okay, whatever. Pastor Jeff's assistant, Myron, he reminds them that they need to get going because he has another meeting. So he's about to leave. Bridget was like, Hold up, wait, okay, so before you leave, since we're trying to keep the schedule tight, how much time would you need to speak? Jeff says about 10 minutes, but then he throws in a sarcastic joke about if Rashida gets on the mic, she might need 3 hours. Rashida didn't appreciate that. He asked her how long would she need, and she was like, as long as the Holy Ghost needs. And she has this look on her face like, that's not funny. And he tries to say that he was just joking, but then turns around and says, that's why we need the new building, so we can stop having 3 services a day, and you can speak as long as you want. So Jeff and Myron leave, and Rashida, she goes after them. So when she gets out there, she tells Myron to give them a minute, but he ignores her and looks at Jeff. So when Jeff tells him to leave, he does, which is baffling to Rashida. She tells Jeff that she doesn't appreciate it when he undermines her in front of the staff. He says he doesn't do that. She says, well, it feels that way. Now she's trying to tell him how his actions bother her, and he's too busy trying to get to the next meeting with the city council. So he tells her that they'll talk about that later. Then he leaves. So she stands there for a minute and then goes in her office. So over there with Tiffany and Geneva called Bridget to check on Rashida. Bridget says that she thinks Pastor Jeff is going to invite Franklin, and they hope that he doesn't. It's like everybody is hoping either Franklin don't show up or Naomi doesn't show up. Then they try to get Rashida on the line, but she wasn't up to it. Bridget says, I'll talk to y'all later. You know, I really can't talk up here. I still work for these folks. This is my job. So she makes plans to meet Tiffany at Tiffany's nail appointment. Then she goes in to check on Rashida, who's in her office crying. And Bridget sees that something's wrong with Rashida, and she's like, look, girl, I know I work for you, but you still my friend. Rashida asked Bridget if she told the girls. Bridget said no, but I did tell them that something was off, and she felt like it was best that you tell them yourself, Rashida. I'm not going to tell them. You need to tell them. Rashida says she's going to give it up to the Lord because she just can't deal with any of that right now. She got to get through the banquet and find a way to uninvite Naomi. So they called Tiffany and Geneva back, and they can immediately tell that something was wrong with Rashida. They want to stop by with Naomi so that they all can talk. Rashida was like, been there, done that. They feel like Rashida is good with Naomi. Like, it's like out of everybody in the group, Rashida is the one who can get through to her. But Rashida says that Naomi has to want to help herself. Geneva feels like they can't give up on it because she's going through a lot. So they all decide to just rally around Naomi just in case Franklin and his new wife shows up. They finish up the call with the girls. Rashida says that she doesn't think she'll need Bridget for the rest of the day. She only has one more counseling session left, and Bridget says, well, she must be a hot mess because, baby, she done called like 10 times. But Rashida says, well, that's what we're here for. So Tiffany, she's getting ready to go to her nail appointment. Anika is over there playing with her dolls, and they hear her say, you so damn fine. And Geneva tells her, Anika, that's not appropriate for a 5-year-old to be saying. And they're thinking that she heard William say it to Geneva because Anika said, Daddy says it. But Geneva says, but you shouldn't say it. And baby, why Anika say, tell Daddy not to say it to the pretty lady. Now that made Geneva lean in a little closer to her daughter to make sure she heard her correctly, because she wanted to know what pretty lady was she talking about. And Anika said that's what he said to the pretty lady at the school. And what she say that for? Geneva started interrogating little Anika like she was on the witness stand. What pretty lady? At your school? What's her name? Is she a teacher? Does she work there? Anika says, I don't know. Every time she asks the song, Anika was like, I don't know. She just knows that the pretty lady brings her friend Maddie to school. Geneva wants to know if it was Maddie's mom, what was Maddie's last name, what the lady looked like, everything. She tried to keep going with the questions, and Tiffany told the nanny to take Anika because her food was ready. And she had to remind Geneva that the little girl was only 5. While she over there going straight Johnny Cochran on her. Tiffany doesn't want Geneva jumping to any conclusions because she doesn't think William would cheat on Geneva. Tiffany had to remind Geneva that her and Naomi, y'all not really that different, so I'm gonna need you to chill out on this. Geneva says, you know what, I'm good, but Tiffany doubts that, but hey, she agrees to not tell the girls about it. So Geneva asks Sarah if she knew who Maddie. You know who is Maddie? Do you know Maddie? Do you know her mom? Sarah says no. But then Geneva calls down to the school pretending like she wanted to get Anika and Maddie together for a play date. Miss Rose says that she couldn't give out that type of information without the other parents' permission. She told Geneva what she could do was come to the parent-teacher conference because it helps when both parents are involved. Geneva goes into this rant about being a partner at her law firm and being extremely busy, but then she stops herself and she says, you know what, I'll be there. But Geneva can't take it, baby. So she drives down to the school and lies to the janitor that her daughter left her teddy bear. So she then convinced the janitor to let her in the classroom to look for it, right? So once they get in the classroom, she starts flattering him about his age and how he look, and she can't believe he's over 50, blah, blah, blah. Then she looks at the board and sees a picture of the kids, and that's when she sees Maddie. She says that her daughter wants to have a play date with Maddie, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know the parents, and you know how people can be these days. And that's when the janitor says, oh, the Houstons? So now Geneva has the last name, right? And she even found out that the mom owns her own yoga studio, and the name of the yoga studio is Yoga spelled backwards. So once she got all of that info, she told the janitor that she thinks she left the teddy bear in her other car. Girl, get out them folks' school. So now over there with Naomi. Now this Naomi scene with dude is like, oh my gosh, this is just, y'all doing too much. So she done called some dude over there to scratch her itch, child. His name is Hakeem. So she invites him in, but he's so impressed by her house that he starts asking all types of questions. She tells him that she's divorced. He was like, you must got him good. That made Naomi feel like he was saying a woman couldn't accomplish all of that on her own. And she was about to put him out, but he said he wasn't going anywhere because she paid him to do a job. They get into doing what he was paid to do. Child, so they go upstairs, right? And Naomi is so extra, all on that man with that collar about to close up that man windpipe. He gets the coughing because he can't breathe, and she jumps out talking about why you doing all that coughing? Do you have COVID? No, girl. He has a lack of oxygen because you up there like a wild woman. So what do you think going on? So she pays him, tell him that he needs to leave, but that man wasn't budging. She grabs the laptop trying to get into Franklin's wife's social media account, but she's blocked. So he takes the laptop. Mind you, this man ain't got nothing. And he sends the lady a friend request from one of his fake pages. And the lady, she immediately accepted the friend request. Naomi, she is steady trying to get this man to get up out her house. He said, what if I say I ain't going nowhere? So she grabs that heat from the drawer and points it at his head. Tell me why he grabbed it and licked it. He told her that she need help. And if she need the help, he got her. And she like, how can you help me? You a street 304. He ignores all that and says, like I said, if you need me, let me know. I'll put you at the top of my list. Then he finally leaves. So now Tiffany and Bridget, they're at the nail salon basically trying to get information out. You know, they're trying to get information out of each other. Bridget tells Tiffany that she thinks there's something going on with Rashida and Jeff. She just doesn't know what it is, and that she doesn't seem happy. And Tiffany tells her that Naomi thinks that, Jeff might be swinging the other way. Then Bridget tells Tiffany that it's her turn, but she says nothing is going on. So Bridget says, well, I'm gonna call and check on Geneva. And Tiffany's like, why? Why you need to do that? She said, because Tiffany's like, no, because she'll think I told you. And that's when Bridget was like, got him. Told me what? because Bridget just basically played Tiffany. But it shouldn't have been obvious Tiffany what she was doing. So she told her about Anika possibly seeing William with another woman. Bridget doesn't believe it, but she knows Geneva is not gonna let up until she finds out what Anika was talking about. Now back at the church, Rashida is in her counseling session with the young lady who Bridget said had been calling like 10 times. So the young lady tells Rashida that she's had a bad 3 months and that prayers will get her into that situation that she's in. She says that she's only 19. Rashida tells her that prayer will get her out of it. She asks, like, what's going on? And whatever she tells her will stay with her. The girl was about to leave, but Rashida told her to just stay and talk. So the young lady tells her that Rashida's sermon about the lady at the well convicted her because of the men the women had been with. But Rashida didn't want her to miss the important part about Jesus being at the well with the lady. So she asked Rashida if she thought that God would forgive her. She said that she did. Then she asked Rashida if she would forgive her. And she asked her if she had done anything against her. She said, yeah. I've been having relations with your husband. And the look on Rashida's face is like, say what now? And that was the end of episode 1, right? So let's go ahead and go right into episode 2. So episode 2 picks up right where the first episode ended. The young lady asked Rashida if she forgave her and if God forgave her, and Rashida said that they did. Rashida asked her how long had it been happening, and she said after her birthday, which was January 7th, and it had been going on for about 3 months. She said that she told him that she needed prayer. Jeff told her to come back to his office, and before she knew it, he kissed her. She said that she told him no, but he kept kissing her, and he made her do a little, knob slobbing. Then they had relations. Now while she's telling the story, she keeps asking Rashida if she was mad at her, and she said no, but Rashida kept asking her more questions like, how many times did y'all meet up? Did you meet up anywhere else? The girl said no, it was always at church after choir rehearsal. Rashida asked her to come with her. The girl says that she can't confront him, thinking that Rashida was about to take her to Jeff. Rashida tells her that he wasn't even there. So Rashida takes the girl, her name is Isabella, into the pastor's office so that she can show Rashida where the relations happened. She said that it happened on the desk. Now Isabella is acting like she can't take it. She doesn't want to be in the office. So Rashida says that on his calendar it says that he was at home with his family. So Isabella says, do you think I'm lying? Then Rashida reads her Psalms 37, and when she read the verse that says the wicked one shall not be, Isabella asked her if that verse was about Pastor Jeff, and Rashida told her no, it's about you. Isabella said that she is not wicked. Rashida told her that she has a Holy Spirit that never leads her wrong, and she's been watching her, and she saw the way that she looked at Jeff and everything. Isabella gets mad and says that she knew she shouldn't have come there and that she was going to get a lawyer. Rashida says, bingo. There it is. You're trying to get money from the church, huh? She asked her, how much do you want, little girl? How much money do you want? But Isabella says she came to Rashida for help and that she wanted justice. Rashida says, well, if you wanted justice, you go to the police before a lawyer, right? So then she shows her all the cameras and how empty the rooms were on Thursday when she said that she was with Jeff. Baby, the way Rashida dismissed Isabella, she couldn't utter a word. She said, now may you go, and I wish you well in your struggle. Bridget sees her leave and asks Rashida, that's another one. So apparently there have been a couple of women with the same story trying to get money out of the church, but thankfully they have cameras to back up any accusations about things happening in the church, along with Rashida's Holy Spirit that she says doesn't lead her wrong, right? Now over there with Geneva, who's made it back to her office, she has Miss Yoga Pants on her mind. But then I think this could be her assistant, maybe a co-worker. She comes in and tells her that someone by the name of Javon has been constantly calling and that he's now sitting in the lobby. Geneva couldn't believe it, but she told her to bring him to the back. Javon walks in like they talk every other day, talking about, I'm back. And not only is he back in town, but he moved back and he's divorced. He's been gone for 6 years. He tells her to get over there and give him a hug. And when she hugged him, baby, it was like she melted. He tells her that he left because she said that she couldn't do that to William, which sounds like she was cheating on William and he was cheating on his wife. But since it really wasn't going to work out, they thought it would be best if they went their separate ways. He said he missed her every day for the last 6 years. Geneva let this man know that they can't pick up where they left off if that's what he came back thinking. You can tell that he's a little disappointed, but I don't think he believes her. And she said that her and William are doing great. And now Geneva is trying to get up out of there. He offered to walk her to her car, but she passed on that offer. When he walked out of the door, she had to exhale. She still has feelings for that man. I mean, just look at her face. When she was hugging him, just go back. Look at her face. So, Tiffany, she has pulled up at Naomi's house, right? Rashida called trying to see what was going on with Geneva, but Tiffany says she'll have to get it from her. And they're just having a little conversation. She tells Rashida why she stopped by Naomi's. Naomi opens the door and let her know that she heard everything that she said. Like, girl, you're standing in front of the Ring camera. Okay, so she tells her, come on in. So when they go in, Naomi has been destroying pictures with Franklin in it, and Tiffany wants her to just let it go and tells her that she got $37 million. Let it go. Move on. But Naomi wants to know, what does the money have to do with him getting a 25-year-old pregnant and leaving her? Naomi was like, that's big money to you because you probably only make like what, $300K a year? And Tiffany was like, okay, this is what you always do, but I've been through this, and what John did was horrible. At least you got $37 million. I have to pay him alimony. It may not be as bad as what you feel like Franklin did to you, but I was still hurt. But one thing I won't do is let it ruin me, because she's saying that because everybody feels like that is exactly what Naomi is doing. She is letting this man ruin her. Like, let it go. What are you doing? And I know some people may be like, well, it's more than the money. Okay, but if what she's doing is like, you know how you hear women say, I want him to hurt as bad as I'm hurting. What makes you think he's going to be hurting anyway? He didn't care about you then, so what makes you think he's finna care about you now? You just going to be making yourself more frustrated because he don't care. Alright? So Naomi, she's going on and on. She's stuck on the age of the lady, that the lady is white, and that Franklin is taking his new supply everywhere that they used to go. And what I don't get is, one, if she wasn't stalking those folks' social media, she wouldn't know any of this. And two, he know that you watching. That's why he's taunting you. Tiffany tried to tell her that Franklin was baiting her, but Naomi isn't in the mind frame to receive that. She's talking about Franklin having a new lady around all their old friends. No, ma'am. They're old friends to you. If they're not talking to you anymore, then they were never your friends. Some of them were probably just cool with you because you were his wife, and some of them probably just tolerated you for the same reason. Tiffany tells Naomi that she needs to stop all of the petty stuff like suing Franklin for frivolous stuff like a parking spot at the country club. But again, Naomi goes back to the new lady parking there now, and that's not gonna happen. Tiffany realizes that she's not getting anywhere with Naomi, so she decides to leave. But Naomi stops her and asks when was the last time that she's been with a man. Tiffany doesn't really answer her, and Naomi says, oh, so that's what it is. You think if you get with somebody else, you think you cheating on him, even though he left you high and dry. And Tiffany admitted it. She did admit that she was afraid to love. Naomi wants to know who is going to want them at their age. But she said that, they can start paying for it like Bridget. Tiffany didn't really want to get into that, but she tells her that the reason she stopped by was to tell her about a therapist that she found, and she wanted them to go together. Then you see these people at the door, and Naomi has stylists coming in to get her ready for the banquet. Tiffany was surprised by that. She was like, "Oh, you're going?" She was like, yeah." So Naomi put her out and told her that she'll see her later. Now, this thing about Tiffany getting with another man and men not want you after a certain age sounds very manosphere based to me. And Naomi sounds like if she had a choice, she would have stayed with Franklin because it was familiar versus moving on and finding happiness on her own. Now, over there with Rashida, she's made it home. The kids are in the front. She speaks to them, but they completely ignore her. And she said it like 3 times, like, I know y'all hear that lady talking to y'all. So Geneva, she's already there. They go upstairs to talk, and Rashida asks Geneva if she really thought that William was cheating, and she said that she did. Then Rashida asked her if she was trying to catch William in something. Geneva knew that she was hinting at Javon, and she told Rashida that that situation was only one time 6 years ago. But I feel like it was more than one time based off the conversation that she was having with Javon in the office. But I'm on Rashida's side with this. It seems like Geneva is trying and hoping that she catch William in something in order to feel okay or even with William. But at the same time, to give her the okay to sneak around with Javon. Or maybe even divorce William to be with Javon. Rashida wants Geneva to wait on God before running around searching for stuff and mess around and get it wrong. But Geneva says that God takes too long. Then she tells Rashida that Javon came to see her. Geneva wants that old thing back, even if it was for a moment. Rashida tells her not to mess up things in her marriage, trying to cuddle up with Javon. You better slow your roll, baby. Now over there with Bridget, Calvin calls to let her know that Vaughn quit. He's trying to tell her that she needs somebody way better than Vaughn. Then Vaughn walks in and talk about, was that him? Yeah, I quit. I can't be doing that mess. It's hard. Talk about I'm a creative. Then he had the nerve to ask for some. He asks her where is she going. She tells him, the banquet. And now he's talking about he's going. Then pulls a waiter uniform out the hamper. Bridget, I know you can do better than Vaughn, baby. Like, what is really going on? Now, unless you just wanted a son, go off, sis. So William, he makes it back in town, and Anika let him know real quick that she wished that he had picked her up because he makes it fun. Then he goes in the kitchen where Geneva is, and he immediately realizes that something is wrong with her. She says she's okay. It's just been a long day. Then she gets in her feelings because he said that he knows that it's a lot dealing with Anika, and she felt like he was calling her a bad mom, just all in her feelings. He's going on and on about Italy, and she's dry about it. He wanted to know if he did something. She said, I don't know. You tell me. Listen, girl, instead of playing all these guessing games, why not just tell the man what Anika said? I'm not sure if William is cheating, but we shall see. But all this, I don't know. You tell him what the little girl said. Girl. Now back over there with Rashida and Jeff, he's downstairs in the office having what he calls a private conversation. And she want to know, what does he mean by private conversation? She said that she was just asking because when she came downstairs, he was talking in hushed tones when he saw her. And then when she walked in the room, he got off the phone. So they get to going back and forth. The kids hear them and come in the room. The daughter is like, here y'all go again. You stay getting into it. The son said he's ready to go to college. He got to get out of that toxic house. That young man is ready to go. He said that they act like they don't even like each other. Jeff lets them know in a marriage, sometimes things aren't perfect. Sometimes couples don't like each other, but they still love each other. They just have communication issues. The daughter was like, the same communication you be preaching at church? Franklin says, yes, like that. Baby, the girl said, well, if you teach it, shouldn't you know it? Listen, baby, she got him with that one because that was funny. Because if you teaching other people about communication, why you don't know how to do it in your own marriage? Sir, pastor. So they tell her to just wait until she's married. But the daughter said that's not happening because it's stupid to think that two people will want to always be together. Those kids got them right on together and walked out of their room. So Rashida tells Jeff to go get dressed. So she's upstairs finishing up her outfit and he walks in and she's just staring at him. He wanted to know why was she looking at him like that. She tells him that there is no one else who loves him like she does. He says, I know that. She says, this is where you say the same to me. Why this man say, you know that? Like what? She wanted to know if they were drifting apart, and of course he doesn't want to talk about it. He said they'll talk later. Now this is the second time this man had told her we'll talk about it later. Jeff, you just said y'all had communication problems, and you're going to continue to have them if you always want to talk about something later, but that later never comes around. Oh my goodness. Now William, he is over there laughing and talking with some dude. Baby, they pan the camera around. It's Javon. And he is decked out in his nice tux. Geneva comes downstairs, but she's not paying attention. That baby look up and see Javon, and I thought she was about to go back up them stairs or pass out. William said that he wanted to surprise her since they haven't seen Javon in like 6 years, and both her and Javon were standing there acting like they didn't just see each other at the office. William says that Javon got divorced. He says that, Javon says that he just wasn't, that his wife was not the love of his life. Geneva finally notices that he's dressed up, and William says, oh yeah, I invited him to the banquet. Geneva was trying to say that she didn't add a +1. William said, oh, it'll be fine. So they're about to leave, but William calls for the nanny to bring Anika down. Geneva, for some reason, didn't want that to happen. Talking about, oh, it's past her bedtime. Let's not disturb her. And I was like, what is that about? But when Javon said, oh, you named her Anika, and he had such an inquisitive look on his face, and Geneva dropped her eyes, I was like, oh, yeah, don't tell me that's that man, baby. Because if that's Javon's daughter, and William talking about he wanted to name her after his mom, but Geneva fought for the name Anika, baby, that's messed up. So Javon asked if Anika was his, because to him, she has her father's eyes. Geneva is just standing up there looking crazy. And that's where the episode ends, y'all. So let's roll right on into episode 3. So episode 3 opens up right where episode 2 left off, with Javon asking Geneva if Anika was his. Geneva talking about, of course not, just a stuttering away. Javon wants to know if Geneva got his messages. She said she did, and she ignored them. She thinks Javon just came back to hurt her, but he said he missed her every day for the last 6 years, and that she is supposed to be his wife. Geneva says he sounds crazy, and that what he's doing is not right. He said it wasn't right then either, when they were talking about leaving their partners and when they was messing around. He said he left the woman he was with. Now it was her turn to leave William. She says so much has changed in 6 years. He says 5 years, 11 months. But who's counting? But when he asked her how old was Anika, she's talking about, Jay, like, stop it. Girl, you don't want to answer that question because you know that that's probably his daughter. And the fact that y'all talked about having a child and naming her Anika, just for you to name the baby Anika, the baby that you think you have with your husband, you named the baby Anika. That's crazy work. So she tells Javon that she wants him to leave, but he knows that she really doesn't want him to leave. He tells her if she really wants him to go, then say it. But of course she doesn't. By that time, William comes downstairs ready to go. Geneva is just standing there in a daze. She don't know what to do. So Jeff and Rashida, they're on their way, and Rashida wants to know if Jeff meant what he said about loving her, and he wants to know what's going on with her. He asked that lady, was she going through menopause? He says that she's changed a lot lately, but Rashida feels like every time she tries to talk to him, he turns it on her. So he sarcastically says, "Yes, Rashida, I love you. You know I do." She said, "You don't say it." This man says, "I say it every Sunday." She says that's performative, because if you did, you would show it, and we'd be having meetings in the bedroom. He says, "I do love you, Rashida, and I will be more present." But she feels like he's patronizing her. So they're steady going back and forth. Jeff says, "Do you realize we don't even ride together anymore?" She says, "Yes, I'm surprised you even wanted to ride with me tonight." Jeff gonna say, "I didn't." Like, sir, what is wrong with you? Talking about, I just didn't think arriving separately would look right to the congregation. And like Rashida said, it's performative. You want to look perfect in front of people, but your real life is a mess behind closed doors. Your kids just told you the same thing. So Jeff says he doesn't want to be around Rashida because she's always nagging. Rashida says she's not nagging. She's talking about it so that they can work through it. But again, Jeff, he just doesn't have time. Rashida points out that he makes time for everything else but his family. This man said, "You know that's my calling." Then she then tells her that once she steps out of the car and see all the people adoring her, she'll snap out of it, because there are a lot of women who would love to have her spot. He said that he gave her an amazing life, but Rashida had to remind him that it's because of her grandfather that he even has that church. He tries to gaslight her, talking about, "Oh, so you're going to throw money in my face?" And then says that she shouldn't insinuate something that she's not going to put on the table. She said, "I just did," and turned the radio on. Now, the stylists are over there waiting for Naomi to come out. Baby, she comes out all cute and stuff. They tell her not to worry about all that other stuff. But then there's a knock, more like banging, on the door. And it's the police. They say, "Miss Price." She says, "Mrs. Price." And see, that's a problem. You're divorced. So why are you still trying to hold on to the Mrs.? But anyway, they tell her that they need her to step outside. They say that they have a warrant, and an officer keeps saying, "Ma'am, step outside. Will you please step outside? Ma'am, please step outside so we don't have to take you outside." Then Franklin's lawyer walks in and says, "I knew it'll be like this." He says, "This is going to be exciting for me to share with your ex-husband." Baby, they are out there taking cars and everything. So the attorney tells her that they are there to confiscate property that she is refusing to turn over. She tells him that she's going to get him and Franklin for what he's doing. The police start walking out with furs, pictures, everything. And she said, "Those are mine." The lawyer says, "No, those belong to the new Mrs. Price." Then they take the ring, the Cartier watch, and the earrings right up off of her. They tried to take the earrings off of her, but the stylist helped her. Then Naomi threw the earrings into the yard. But since she wouldn't give them to her, they snatched the rest of the jewelry off of her. That was really messed up. She couldn't take it anymore, so she left. The stylists are trying to figure out what to do, so Duffy calls Geneva. However, Geneva doesn't answer because she's over there in the car, stuck between a rock and a hard place. So Javon is saying he feels like a third wheel. William tells him that there will be a lot of single, beautiful women at the banquet. William suggests that they should introduce him to Tiffany. Geneva doesn't want him to do that, but Javon says he has his eye on someone else. But once William mentions that Tiffany and Geneva are good friends, all of a sudden, Javon doesn't think it'll be so bad to meet Tiffany. Duffy, she ended up texting Geneva and finds out, and Geneva called her back, so she found out what happened with Naomi. Geneva says she'll call her, and William is going to text Franklin to see if he was gonna, be at the banquet. So Bridget, she's over there in the ballroom making sure the seating is right. She gets a call from William asking her to add a chair next to Tiffany. Vaughn is over there talking about getting some content for his page, and this man walks up The man who was over there with Bridget walks up to Vaughn, telling him that he need to get back in the back because he think Vaughn is the help. Bridget runs over and says that he doesn't work there. He's a guest. So the man apologized to Vaughn. But Vaughn over there hollering about, see, you think I'm here. You the waiter. I'm a content creator. Then he gets mad that Bridget called him a guest instead of saying he was her man. Boy, grow up. Talking about, you don't tell nobody I'm your man. And that's hurting me, Bridget. Then he walks out talking about he need a drink. Sir, this is a church function. What make you think they finna have a drink? So everybody starts arriving at the banquet. Rashida walks in the back and Tiffany can immediately tell that something is wrong. The friends know each other. They know each other very well. I've noticed that because they can pick up on anything. But no, of course, she gonna say ain't nothing wrong with her. So Geneva and Bridget come in to tell them that something is going on with Naomi. Naomi, they get on the phone. She leaving the liquor store. So she tells them that the police came and took everything, which is everything that she wouldn't give back in the divorce. She tells Geneva that she is a horrible lawyer and that she's going to sue Franklin. But Geneva's like, baby, it's really not much we can do. It's nothing that we can do. But Naomi, she don't want to hear that. So she said that she's on her way there. And they looking at each other like, we don't think that's a good idea. And then she changes her mind and says, you know what, I look a mess. I'm not coming. And they like, whew, thank you, Jesus. So they are excited that she's not coming. So they're like, look, as soon as this is over, we gonna swing your way, okay? She's like, okay, I'll see y'all then. Now, Pastor is in the ballroom talking to Calvin, and he's telling him about doing Bridget a favor and hiring Vaughn, who ended up quitting on the first day. Vaughn walks over all loud, asking about some liquor and completely ignoring Calvin. Calvin's like, you don't see me? But Vaughn said, look, bro, when I quit that job, I quit you too. So I'm trying to figure out, do y'all have some adult beverages? To which Calvin says, we don't have anything for folks your age. Vaughn says he'll be 30 in 4 days, telling Calvin that he's throwing his energy off. Then walks off yelling for Bridget, just loud and ghetto. So William and Javon, they walk in and William introduces Javon to the pastor. The ladies walk out. William introduces everybody to Javon. Then they head on over to the table. William wants to make sure that Tiffany and Javon are sitting next to each other, but Geneva is annoyed and wants him to leave them alone. Rashida and Jeff make it to the stage to greet the guests. They pray, head back to the table. Tiffany tells Rashida that she loves the way she prays. Then Javon says, so do I. Now why did Rashida roll her eyes at Javon? I was like, girl, calm down. Your girl is just as trifling as Javon. So Bridget tells Vaughn that, you know, we're sitting at that back table. He gets loud because he doesn't want to sit back there. To keep the mess down, Rashida and Tiffany tell Bridget that she's at their table. So Vaughn is like, see, that's more like it. He tells them that he's Bridget's old man. Then he asks Tiffany if her and Javon were together. Geneva chimes in and talked about, no, they're not. And I was like, Vaughn, I'm talking to her. I'm not talking to you. So Tiffany tells him that they just met. So Vaughn gonna say, oh, so that's the one you told me was divorced? Bridget's like, yeah, I told you they're in private. So Tiffany and Javon, they get to talking about, going through a divorce. They talk about their diets, just having a casual conversation. Javon bursts out laughing, just being extra. And here goes Geneva. What's so funny? Girl, mind your business and talk to your husband, okay? Geneva is so discombobulated that she drops her drink. Rashida goes, and she left, right? She left the table. Rashida goes after her, and Williams tells Rashida to find out what is going on with Geneva because she been acting weird. So Rashida get back there, and Geneva is having a full-fledged breakdown. She tells Rashida that Javon was in her house because William invited him, and she let her know that earlier in the day he stopped by her office and that he said he came back for her. Then she says he thinks that Anika is his daughter, and Rashida wants to know why would he think that. She said that it was around the time of the IVF and they were together. Rashida was like, once? Because remember, that's what she told Rashida. Then she started shaking her big old head. And she knew that she was lying when she told Rashida that it was only one time 6 years ago. Now back out at the table, Bridget's son, Bun, he acting a plum fool. Myra comes over to give the pastor some good news. Bun tells him that he likes his jacket and asks him where did he get it. He said his wife bought it. Then Bun gonna say, hear that, Bridget? His wife got it. And I would have been like, did you miss where he said wife? So he asked him where did he get it, how much did it cost, but Myra says, I don't know. Bun said, you don't know shit, do it. and William over there falling out laughing, talking about, I like this guy. So Bun asked again about, bro, about how much did it cost? Myra said, well, more than a gaming system. Bun's like, oh, shit, boy. Like, dang, that's how it is. So Myra shushes him and tells him to show the pastor some respect. He says, oh, my bad. Y'all can't say shit. I'm like, if y'all get this kid out of here. And he tells Myra tells Bridget to get Bun up out of there. Bridget says, come here, boy. Just come on. So Tiffany has to use the restroom, right? So she goes back there where Geneva and Rashida, where they're at. Now over there where Bridget is, Bridget tells Vaughn that he needs to go home. Because he's doing too much. Like entirely too much. And he's embarrassing her in front of the pastor. He says that he's never been around folks like that. Nor has he had a good man in his life to show him. And I'm like, not that I didn't have my daddy card. Like Vaughn, let's not. Heck, you weren't even trying to read the room. But he said that he'd leave. She feels bad and tries to get him to stay, but he leaves anyway. As she watches him leave out the door, Franklin and his wife walk in. So Tiffany, Geneva, and Rashida, all of them still in the back. Rashida trying to get Geneva to calm down, get herself together. She talk about she can't handle it. It's just too much for her. Baby, she just got a hand all over her chest. Baby girl. So Tiffany asked Geneva if she was okay. Rashida's like, everything is fine. We're just gonna head back out there. And then she asked Geneva if she'd been holding out on her. She said that she likes Javon. They have a lot in common. But she sees the way Geneva is looking at Rashida, and she could tell that something is off. But she also notices that they seem a little distant. So she says, whatever is going on, I guess y'all will tell me later. So she leaves the room, and I didn't like that. I don't know if they didn't tell Tiffany because they don't think that Tiffany can keep a secret, but they shouldn't be closing her off, and they should have told her what was up, because it's gonna come off as, at first you were telling me to get back out there, and now that I've met somebody who I like, now it seems like you're not happy for me. And if Geneva would have just went ahead and told Tiffany, maybe Tiffany would have decided not to pursue Javon any further. But she's sitting over there going through all these different emotions because her feelings are attached to Javon. But at the same time, it seems like it's a more of a physical connection. So with Bridget, she walks in and she lets Rashida know that Franklin and his wife just walked in. They're relieved because, remember, Naomi said that she wasn't coming. So Bridget sees that something is wrong with Geneva, but Rashida keeps shutting everybody down, talking about, oh, it's okay, let's go on back out there, blah, blah, blah. So Lindsay, who is Franklin's new wife, says that she didn't want to come. That's what she told the pastor. And she asks if the dragon lady was there. Tiffany hears her and want to know who exactly is the dragon lady. And she said, and who are you? She said, I'm the dragon lady's closest, one of her close friends. So now Lindsay looking crazy. So Rashida, she walks up and says, and who might that be? Because she also heard what Lindsay said. So they're just standing up there. Franklin wants Lindsay to basically ignore them and let's go sit down. So everybody sit back down at the table. They just looking around. You could tell it's uncomfortable. The tension getting thick in the air. It's thick. And why do they notice that Lindsay has on the earrings that the police just took off of Naomi? And the next thing you know, Bridgeton looked up and Naomi is walking in. Baby, drunk as a skunk. She is lit. Then she walk over to the table. She said, I know y'all not over here sitting talking to them. And that right there was in episode 3. Listen, if y'all have been watching Divorced Sisters, get down in the comments. Tell me what you think about it. Who is your favorite character out of the women, and who is your least favorite character out of the women? And when it comes to the guys, do you think William is cheating? And do you think that William may know that something went on with Geneva and Javon? Y'all get down in the comments. Let's talk about it, okay? And make sure you follow me on Instagram. Share this video. And I'll talk to y'all later.